So what's it like having a small van? I'll let you know. Hello everyone, so now I'm going to see what it's like to be using a small van on the CX. And so far, I'm not very impressed. I picked up the van this morning. I've farted about getting it ready, putting my stuff in it. I changed the insurance that the hire company do give hire and reward cover, but they don't give hazardous goods cover. So I've paid a supplement on my own vehicle insurance to have the hazardous cover on this. Thinking I might pick up a bit of ADR work for a small van. I do see it come out from time to time. And went and got myself some new work shoes, because as we know, the one's gone. It's probably now stuck in some ducting in Brighton somewhere. And I've started bidding, and I've got to be honest, I'm not obviously all that familiar with small vans and how to bid. So I thought, well, if I bid around 80 pence to £1 a mile, I should hopefully pick something up. And there has been work coming up on the feed. It's not been really prolific, and I've got jack shit. I've not got one successful bid. I don't know what prices some of you small van guys are putting it out at, but it must be suicidal. Well, I mean, you have to set yourself a minimum. So I thought, right, well, I'll put my minimum at £35, ignoring the things like Today Team who say job pays 25, and I'll go from there. I'll, not bothered where I go. I'll have a bash at anything. I've not had a single job, so I've been trying for an hour and a half, not a single thing. Now I know that's not unusual sometimes, and you're not always successful. I'm going to run this small van, for a while. Well, a short while. I'm going to see how it goes. So it's not been the best of starts so far. Good morning, it's Friday morning now. So, following on from yesterday, it was frustrating. I did get a job. I got a local job. I got the minimum price that I bid for it. It was £35. Because I'm not doing anything for less than £35. And it was to take a laptop across Manchester. So, it was pretty easy. And then I started bidding again, didn't get anything, but I was rescued by a very, very guilty James from Freddie Fletcher, who obviously feels responsible, because let's face it, if I wasn't doing that job for him the other day, I wouldn't have been stranded where I was I? So he is pretty responsible, really. But no, really, he asked me if I was available to do a small van job for him, and I was. So I picked that up. He did actually film me when I arrived with the stuff, because it was taking something to his house, which he's obviously decided to put as content on his YouTube, because he knows that anything featuring me will boost his viewers. That's if people like seeing fat man get out of vans and opening doors, that is. Anyway, so now it's Friday morning. I am loaded. I have got a job. I did start bidding not too early, because I had a little thing to do this morning, and put about 6 or 7 bids in, and I've got this one, which was to collect at 9:30 from a massive electronics engineering company in Didsbury, Manchester, and I'm taking it to their other site in South Shields in the northeast. It is a bag of PPE equipment. I've not looked in it, obviously, but it seems an expensive way of getting PPE from one place to another. I wouldn't be surprised if you looked in it, they could have bought most of it from Screwfix, but hey, don't knock it. And I'd bid for this at 85 pence a mile, which goes against the craw a bit, but I needed to get some work, didn't I? So I've got this at 85 pence a mile, so it's not a bad bit of money. This little noddy van that I'm in is a Citroen Berlingo, and it's alright. It's a bit cramped, but that's probably due more to the size of my backside than anything else. And my knee sort of like pushes against the bulkhead where the gear stick is. But it's pretty good on juice. I'm currently getting 51.8 miles per gallon on the M62. So it's not bad on the old Derv. So I suppose the drop per mile, you know, is offset by the fact that you're getting more miles per gallon out of the van. But obviously the interesting thing will happen. Will I pick any work up in Newcastle when I go up there? It's not the easiest places to pick work up from. And of course with a larger van you can pick up small van work or large van work, whereas I'm restricted only to small van work in this. But it's alright, the van, it's got Apple CarPlay and all the bits and bats, cruise control and things like that. It's just getting my head around working as a small van really. So I'm undecided yet. I do prefer the bigger van, more for a comfort thing I suppose, and I'm just used to it. And what I find with the small van, I can't put all my kit in, because if I put all my kit in, there's absolutely no room in the back. Whereas in a large van you can hang it up, you can have everything off the floor, leave your load floor space all clear. This, you've got to put things on the floor in the back, which I don't like doing. I've move all the ADR kit, apart from the extinguisher, pretty much in the front, so there's no room for passengers in there now, because everything over there is just full of kit. So it's not ideal from that perspective, but then again, that's it. If I didn't have half the ADR kit, I would probably have more room, wouldn't I? You don't need to carry as many straps, obviously, because you've not got all that much room in the back of your van anyway. You're only going to strap one pallet or box or things like that. So let's see how we do. Let's hopefully we might pick up a job at the northeast. Hope so. If I do, that'll make it a decent day. My van goes in, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll have to double check that. And if it's something relatively simple, I'd have it back in a day or so. So touch wood. I've got this van for a week, so it has to be back by Thursday, or I have to extend my hire with them, so I have to let them know. Bit of good news is the warranty company are chipping in towards this. Didn't realise that I was entitled to that. So, while it's not getting the full cost, I am getting some. So that's alright, isn't it? A little bit better, offsets the bad week. Onwards and upwards, small van life. So we've dropped off in Newcastle. I dropped off about 50 minutes ago, and I'm looking to see if I can get a job back, or maybe a little adventure going somewhere else. Probably won't mind getting some distance in, you know, to try and catch up some of the money that I've lost a bit this week. And I've been speaking to the Saintsman on the phone, who is the undisputed king of the small vans. But there's not much going on in Newcastle, it's got to be said. I've changed my feed now to show small van only, because it gets a bit frustrating when you're in a small van and you see all of those jobs coming up that you can't do because you're in your little tiny van. And I put a couple of bids in, one from Newcastle to Bradford, then to Manchester, which would have been ideal. I bid at 80 pence a mile on that. No, didn't get that. I put another bid in for one that's going from Seaham, which is not too far away, and it's going to go right down south, but for Monday morning. So again, taking the advice of the undisputed king of the small vans, I put a price in, because obviously I could pick it up, go home, leave it with me for the weekend, and get down there nice and early Monday morning, get it delivered, and be ready to work from that area 9 o'clock Monday morning. I've not heard anything yet, but that's the collection at 4 o'clock. I've rang the shipper to say, look, if you're interested in that, can you let me know, because I'm not staying in the area for too long. And they said, oh, we're just looking at the quotes now, we'll get back to you. So I think really they're just looking for the cheapest one they can find. So I'm not going to give it much longer, because I want to get back to an area where it's more prolific. So I'm going to give it 15 minutes maybe. If nothing shows its head, There was another one actually that I forgot to mention, was going up to the north end, a place called Bucky, near north of Aberdeen. Pick up this afternoon, deliver tomorrow morning. And I thought, well, if I was going to do that, you've got to go for £1 a mile and add on at least the cost of like an overnight stay. So I put £1 a mile plus 50 quid for an overnight stay. But I've noticed immediately it's been reposted. So they're probably looking for someone who's perhaps going back up that way. So no luck, nothing really suits me. I think 15-20 minutes I'm going to pack up the little van and we are going to head down on the A1 with the feed on, see if we can pick something up on the way down, because I could just spend the rest of my life up here and not get anything, couldn't I? Not suitable anyway. I've got to get used to these small vans, it's a different world. Well, the sun is out, but the news is grim. I put quite a few bids in, didn't get one of them. All around 80 pence a mile. So I don't know whether it's the fact that on the feed it looks to them as though I've got a long wheelbase van, so they might think, oh, this guy's co-loading going back down south, or the fact that there was a few other people quoting lower than me, maybe as some kind of backload or something like that. But not got anything. And now, just as I'm heading just to get on the A1, I've had a phone call from a shipper asking if I could do a job. I said, oh, you do know that I'm in a small van? Oh yes, but it was basically a run around Newcastle and picking up and dropping off in Durham. But I've kind of just joined the A1 now, so it's not really much point. So I'll put a journey on. I'm going to have a look, see if anything pops out on my way. And to be frank, with what I got paid to come up here, which, you know, wasn't too bad a rate, and the fact that this van sips fuel, if I could pick up a job around Leeds, the day will have been reasonable, not brilliant, and I would like to have done more. But no, Newcastle was a little bit of a disappointment. I don't want to leave it too much longer now. It's after 2 and I want to get back. So that's what I'm doing. Heading back down south via Leeds. I might pick up something, you never know, Wetherby, Harrogate. I've done that before. And we'll just see. I've just picked up at this hotel here. Look at this place. The Hardwick Court Hotel. It's like near Darlington. Look at that. Very nice place. I think it's got a golf course over there as well. Look at the old little baby Citroen. Right, I'm off to Carlisle with it now. Well, the news from small van world is that we did get another job. It is not an ideal job because it's going from, I don't know, I can't remember what the name of the area is, but anyway, Stockton-on-Tees, which I was heading back down the A1 when this one came up. But it's going to Carlisle. It's a small van job, and you see from that video there, picked up from a rather nice looking hotel. And I guess there's left some things behind, which I think is a wash bag, and it's got some of his medication in it that he needs. And I quoted this over £1 a mile because it's going out of my way. It's getting on a bit, so I'm not going to be dropping that off till well after 5 o'clock. I'm going to be in Carlisle, where obviously the world ends, so I'm not going to hardly ever got much of a chance of getting anything out of there. So I quoted it over £1 a mile. I got a ring back pretty quickly from the shippers, who said, how quickly can you get there? When I looked, it was only like 16 minutes. Nothing ever takes long to get to round here, does it? The roads are great. Right, give you the postcode, can you head there? And then someone else rang me, because it was a lady who answered it first of all, and said, oh yeah, I'm happy to give you that job. I've only got £90 in it, you know, can you do for that? So I said, no, don't worry, I'll turn round. I said, well, can we work? And I just simply said, look, I'm sorry, I need that money because it's out of my way. Carlisle is not where I'm going. I'm not going to get any work, and that's the money I want for pence, but if you don't want to give it me, that's fair enough. No, it's urgent, we'll go ahead at that price. So they did it. It probably got loads in it, to be honest with you, but anyway, so I got a decent price. You know, it's like long wheelbase van price really, and maybe even a bit higher. But I'm not holding on to ransom, it's late and it's going out of the way. And the money will come in handy, there's no doubt. Whether I'll get anything back from Carlisle, pretty slim to none, the chances of that. You know, I'll see what happens when I go back down the M6. So, that's a bit better, isn't it? Because I was chasing a bit of money this week just to make up for some lost money. Onwards and upwards. Smalls vans rule. Well, happy Saturday morning, people. Yes, I'm working on a Saturday. That job I did last night, it actually was a good job. I got a bit of extra money on that anyway, because it was a mission. The place, it turned out, was a caravan park, and it was like a traveller's caravan park. Really nice entrance to it, and then I think they bought like land, made a lovely gateway, and then inside it's full of either really big smart looking caravans or those like, I don't know what you describe as mobile homes, prefabs. Well, nice place, but you could tell it was travellers because nearly every caravan or mobile home or whatever had big up trucks or big vans parked outside them. So that's usually a giveaway. And it turned out that there'd been a massive wedding at that hotel, and the geezer to whom I delivered the stuff, he'd forgot half his stuff when he was coming home. But it was a bit of a mission to find it, because the address was like 22 something road, but it wasn't listed as anything like that, and Google was having a hissy fit, and so was Waze. But in the end, I managed to get there. But it was a bit of a mission, and I didn't get anything back. But it didn't matter so much because I was well paid for that job. I'd pre-compensated myself for it. So you might think, what is the fat man doing out on a Saturday? Well, the truth is, obviously, I've not earned all that much money this week because of lost time. And I'm paying out, admittedly getting a contribution off the RAC and off their warranty people, but I'm paying out for a hire van as well. So I thought if I could pick up a bit of work over the weekend, that will sort of like compensate me a bit for it. I know I was prepared to be off at first of all, but let's face it, it's going to be dead in January anyway. So really I could do with knocking out a bit of work anyway prior to that. So here I am in the van on a Saturday, heading to York. I'm going to the Barbican Theatre in York, and I've collected from Media City. Small van job. Now, because it's a Saturday, I naively thought that you could probably charge a bit more on a Saturday, but this is job number 4 of my bids. I didn't get the other 3. I was bidding over £1 a mile. And it would seem that they're all still bidding normal rates on a Saturday, which is a bit crazy to me if you're working Saturday. However, I got this one at £1 a mile in the end. I would have liked more, but you know, you've got to go what the market dictates, haven't you? So I've got £1 a mile to collect from the Media City, the sport bit there of Media City, and I just about squeezing the things into this small van. That's it. Microphone covers. Going to the Barbican Theatre in York. I don't know if there's some kind of event going on there. Might be dominoes, table tennis. Who knows? But if it's BBC Sport on those top of those microphones, I'm assuming there's some kind of sporting event going on at that theatre. So that's where I'm going now. I don't know if I'll get anything back, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a good job this van does 50 odd miles to the gallon, because if I don't get anything back, at least I won't feel the pain as much, will I? Still, so normally today I'd be sort of like finishing off a video for the week and everything, but the week's still going. This is the life of a small van driver. You go anywhere, you do anything. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think small driving will be for me. I'll be glad when the old Silver Dream machine comes back. Don't get me wrong, you can earn, you know, the money, I would say, because your expenses aren't as much, so they will balance out that way. It's just that there's no bloody room in the van. Because you've got such a small area in the back that you really need to keep clear for your load, because obviously you can potentially put a Euro pallet in there. You kind of have to keep everything in the front. So at the back I've got a sack trolley, a few straps and a blanket really, and a fire extinguisher tucked in a little recess. In the front I've got absolutely everything else, and it's all down to my left hand side. Might appear the other way when I'm filming this in reverse. So there's nowhere a passenger can sit in here because everything else is there. My own bag, you know, my worksheets, POD forms, kit bag for the ADR, the other fire extinguisher, a pair of trainers, because you know you've got to keep a pair of spare shoes with you, as I learned bitter experience, and this time it is a pair, not just one. So I feel a bit cramped, to be honest. I know I'm not the smallest unit in the world anyway, and if I was perhaps a slimmer driver, well, even then it wouldn't make a difference really, would it? Because you still got all that tackle next to you. So for that reason, I like the big van. I've got a space for everything, and there's plenty of room in the cab, and the seats are clear. So I'm going to say I prefer a larger van. I'm not knocking small vans, but I just prefer a bigger van, to be honest with you. That's it. Anyway, we're going to go out now to the Barbican Theatre, and I'll let you know if we get anything else over the weekend before I finish this video. Everybody, stay tuned. So I've done that job, dropped at the Barbican. It was snooker, by the way, that was on, if anybody was interested. And I'm now back near my house. It is the afternoon and just about 2:30 p.m. I've been hanging about a bit to see if anything else comes out, and to be perfectly honest, this weekend work's rubbish. There's not enough work coming out to justify staying out really, so I'm scrapping the weekend and I'm going home, and I'll be back on it on Monday. I'll try and see if I can secure a job for Monday morning. I have bid on a couple, but again, I struggle to bring myself to bid too low. I would rather do a distance one if I can, but I'll just get what I can. So, in conclusion, small vans, what do you think? Well, it's not for me, I don't think, to be honest with you. I think you could earn the money. I think you can earn money, and Satesman proves that. And I think you'd have to have a certain mindset and get your head round using a small van. Of course, my head is still in a big van place, so I find it a bit alien. You don't use an awful lot of fuel, well, depending on the small van you have, but certainly these little Citroen stroke Peugeot things, they're really good on juice. 50 odd miles to the gallon. When I picked it up from the hire company, I had a full tank, and I've topped it off once. I hadn't emptied the tank, I just decided to fill it up. So, you know, it's a massive difference in fuel for what the big van takes. But I don't take to it. There's just not enough room in it for all your tackle that you're supposed to carry. Even excluding the fact that I did carry ADR tackle, which takes up a bit more room anyway. I just think that you're compromising the front of your van, moving things in and out the back to the front all the time to make room for loads. So I'll I'll give it a big no for me. But I can see there's a place for it. And yes, there is work in the week. There is quite a bit of work for a small van. But you're competing against, in the cities anyway, you're competing against loads of other small vans. So I think to actually make it pay, obviously I'd have to have a small van for a while, get to know the shippers, get them to know me. Because again, I mean, I'm bidding, they don't know me in the small van. I'm bidding, some of these shippers, they just only do small van work. It's like, it's almost as if they're just shippers and not actually drivers as well. And they don't know me from Adam when I'm bidding, and you look and they see it's a big van, they probably think, oh, he's co-loading or something like that. So no, not for me, small van. I'm going to stick to having a large van. I've got everything crossed that when it goes in on Tuesday, and it is Tuesday, that it's dealt with quite quickly. The garage have got to get it in, liaise with the warranty company, tell them what the issue is. You know, we think it's one of two things. And if it's warranted, even if it's not warranted, I'm going to get them to do the work, obviously. Get it repaired. It's whether they've got the parts or not, because I know Neil with his Citroen had no end of trouble waiting for parts, because people don't seem to have them in stock nowadays. You have to sort of like order them when they want them. So that's it. This week is finished. It has not been the greatest week in my life. Earnings wise, extremely poor, but that's because of circumstances, obviously. I'll see what how I do next week. I am going to lose some time next week no matter what, because if I get the van back, I'm still going to have to take this back and get mine picked up, so there's going to be a bit of time lost there. But essentially, it's just one of those things, isn't it? A breakdown is a breakdown. It can happen to any of us. It's just that the circumstances surrounding that one and the length of time the RAC took to get me home meant that I've had more time off this week than I would have liked. But that's the way it is. Thank you for all the messages about my disastrous video. I do appreciate all your good feelings. And thank you for liking the videos. I hope you like this one. And I hope that if you're not subscribed to the channel, you will consider subscribing. I've got James from Freddie Fletcher breathing down my neck, and he's pulling out all the stops possible to get more subscribers. He knocks out about 55 videos a week. He's now got a poll going, but unfortunately for me, all these videos are pretty good and pretty popular because they are very informative. So I need some more subscribers. So if you'd be kind enough to subscribe, I'd be most grateful. Remember, it's free, doesn't cost you a penny. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you soon.